The US dollar is quietly being dismantled from within, and by the time Americans realize it, their wealth will already be gone. Behind the scenes, global power brokers are executing a plan that will reshape the entire world economy, and the dollar is being sacrificed in the process. This isn't some distant threat or fringe conspiracy. It's happening now, right in front of us, and the evidence is undeniable if you know where to look. While the media distracts the public with petty headlines, central banks across the world are unloading U.S. Treasuries at a record pace. China has reduced its U.S. Treasury holdings significantly in recent years, cutting exposure by nearly 27% since 2022, and they're not the only ones. Japan, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, all are pulling back from the dollar system they once depended on, and what they're moving into next reveals everything. They're buying gold, massive amounts of it. According to World Gold Council, central banks are acquiring around 80 tons of gold per month, the strongest demand pace in decades. Why? Because they know what's coming. When trust in fiat currencies evaporates, real assets take over, and nothing holds more historic weight than gold. But here's where things get even darker. Behind the scenes, the U.S. Treasury is quietly issuing debt at an unsustainable pace. As of this morning, America's national debt is $36.21 trillion and rising by the second. This is no longer a red flag, it's a detonation. Every time the Treasury issues new bonds, it dilutes the value of existing ones. And as confidence in repayment drops, the world starts looking elsewhere for stability. That's exactly what's happening right now. Demand for long-term U.S. debt is vanishing, and the only buyer left is the Federal Reserve. So ask yourself, what happens when the Fed is forced to buy its own government's debt with money it prints out of thin air? That's the final stage of a currency empire. It's not just unsustainable, it's a feedback loop that ends in collapse. And it's not just bonds being rejected, it's the dollar itself. The once mighty greenback is being replaced in real time. Over 130 countries are now exploring or piloting central bank digital currencies and digital currencies. That includes BRICS nations, the European Union, and even the United States itself with FedNow and the Digital Dollar Project. This is the truth nobody's talking about. If you think the dollar's fall will be dramatic, think again. It will be seamless, invisible, programmed. The entire global shift is being engineered as a controlled demolition. And the average American? They'll only notice once their savings by half as much and their bank limits daily withdrawals under the guise of stability. This isn't fear-mongering, it's math. Let's break it down. The velocity of money, how quickly cash moves through the economy, is plummeting. When people hoard dollars instead of spending them, the economy slows. But when the government prints endlessly to stimulate, you get inflation without real growth. That's stagflation, and we're already in it. Meanwhile, foreign nations are accelerating de-dollarization agreements. China and Brazil are now settling trades directly in yuan. India and Russia are bypassing SWIFT. Even the petrodollar, once the foundation of global energy trade, is eroding fast. This is a coordinated global reset, and the dollar's dominance is its primary casualty. But here's the twist that resets your attention. Most Americans still think the collapse will look like a Hollywood movie, bank runs, riots, and headlines announcing the dollar is dead. But that's not how currency transitions work. In reality, they are slow, quiet, and irreversible. By the time you feel the pain, the damage has already been done. Your purchasing power vanishes, your savings melt, your rent goes up, your groceries double, and your paycheck never catches up. All while official inflation numbers are massaged to keep you asleep. But what makes this different from past inflation cycles is what's replacing the dollar. This isn't just a loss of value, it's a loss of control. And your programmable money, central bank digital currencies allow total surveillance of every transaction. They can be geofenced, time-limited, or even set to expire. That means your money can be made unusable outside your city, invalid for specific purchases, or deleted entirely if you don't comply with government policy. Sound extreme? It's already being tested. Nigeria, China, and others have rolled out programmable digital currencies with restrictions already in place. And with FedNow, the U.S. has quietly built the rails for its own version without public debate, without congressional approval, and without understanding the long-term consequences. This is the endgame. The dollar won't just collapse. It will be replaced with something far more dangerous, a fully trackable, programmable monetary system that decides what you can spend, where you can spend it, and even if you can spend it. And once that switch is flipped, there's no going back. Earlier we said collapse would be invisible. That's true, but only for those who aren't paying attention. The signs are everywhere: central banks hoarding gold, foreign nations ditching treasuries, BRICS creating alternatives to SWIFT, the Fed absorbing its own debt, digital payment systems rolling out under emergency narratives. All of it points to one thing: the engineered replacement of the US dollar. It's not coming, it's already started. And while the media spins endless distractions, the elite are preparing. They're reallocating the hard assets. They're creating private custody structures. They're even buying second passports and offshore property to hedge geopolitical exposure. What are you doing? If you're still sitting in cash praying inflation calms down, you're already behind. The value you think you have is a mirage. The freedom you think you own is evaporating by design. This isn't a time for fear. It's a time for action. We are living through the greatest monetary transition in modern history, and your ability to understand it will determine whether you thrive or collapse with it. But there's one piece almost no one is talking about, and it may be the final blow. While the dollar erodes, foreign governments and major corporations are accelerating trade agreements that exclude it entirely. These aren't future plans, they're already active. BRICS nations are finalizing a unified settlement system that will let them trade oil, gas, and commodities without ever touching the US dollar. And more countries are applying to join this alliance every month. This isn't just a shift in policy, it's a shift in global power. And here's the kicker: while BRICS accelerates, the IMF is quietly preparing its own global digital currency framework, known as the UMU, or Universal Monetary Unit. Its purpose? To serve as a neutral settlement layer between countries, effectively bypassing the dollar altogether. What does this mean for the average American? It means the world is building an entirely new financial system, and the US isn't leading it anymore. In fact, it's being excluded from it. If you've ever wondered what the end of reserve currency status looks like, this is it. Not through a crash, but through quiet replacement, step by step, agreement by agreement. And when it's done, the dollar will still exist, but it won't matter. Prices will be higher, debt will be deeper, wages will lag, and the power that once came will hold in dollars will vanish. This isn't just an economic shift, it's a geopolitical one. And by the time most people realize what's happened, the elites will have already locked in their new positions. If you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe to Wealth Signal. We expose what the mainstream won't and help you prepare for what's coming next.